around, and somebody might come into that door in any minute. But they are just catching up with friends for the moment. In the meantime, while we are about to have dinner. Um, Today, I was up early. I went for a jog, and because, as I said, exercise is one of the things that you must continue to do it, especially in these stressful times. And I wanted to talk about how it was so different the day of today from that one of yesterday. Yesterday, the kids woke up early. They started their day with PE coach Joe doing their exercise, and everything went well in the morning, and until the point that they needed to start doing their work. And at that point, they started getting distracted with gadgets, because now they started rely more on computers, because of the first week and half of the second one was more of catching up with the workbooks that were paper workbooks. Now they have to rely more on classrooms, on the Google Classrooms, and that means that they have access to other windows online, and they get distracted. So distraction is one of those things that we can manage with mindfulness, but it needs a lot of training and repetition, which is also something that is very important. And I will be speaking more about repetition later on in this series. But at the moment, what happened yesterday was that my son was getting distracted with gadgets, and I, at some point, had to take the phone away, and he got really mad. And then we started an argument. And even though he knew that I was right in what I was saying, he was really stubborn. But then at the point when we were really getting into the heated part of that tantrum, he brought me. He was in the kitchen, he brought me here, and then he showed me our pledge over here. And is if you don't know about the morning pledge, you can go to my other video on the morning pledge. But he pointed at the point where it says, choosing peace over being right. And he said, you see, you have to follow your pledge. So choose peace over being right. And then I said, okay, so I know that that I am right in this one, but I will choose peace. So I will let go. And then I made him point with his finger at the other piece where it says, you breathe in and breathe out when you are mad. And then he said, okay, so let's both do the same thing that we need to do from the pledge. And then he started breathing in and breathing out. And eventually, it didn't take really long, because, as I said before, it's about repetition. And we have been repeating these kind of techniques for a long time. Sometimes they work, sometimes they still don't. We have to continue to work on them and to repeat and to repeat. But the more you repeat it, the more your body knows what is coming, when it's coming. And the alert will come sometimes before, sometimes in the middle of an argument, and sometimes you just have to review what went wrong and try to work on that for the next time. And so that's how I started the day yesterday. Eventually, when he could breathe in and out, and I also could breathe in and out because I had to let go. The argument at the beginning was that he was given part of his homework from a friend, and he was just copying. So I love the topic of self-motivation, and I will be talking about that as well. But I had to have a word with him, and I will go more into detail with this. But at the moment, I can just say that what saved us in that moment was that we both were referring to our pledge, and that really made me happy, and made him happy too, because then we could talk about it later, late at night actually. We slept late yesterday because then our day went smooth during the day, and at some point in the evening it was my daughter's turn, and this time she was coming down the stairs and she slipped, and then she hurt her thumb. And even though I think it was very painful, I think there was a little bit more in there that needed to come out, and it came out in the form of tears. And she was obviously very tearful, and she was crying, and I was just there, and I hugged her, And we could make that moment into a moment of connection, because it's something that I have been practicing a lot as well, how to be present with pain and with something that we shy away, that is tears and hearing our children crying. We don't like to hear children crying, and especially if they are yours. Nobody wants to see somebody crying. Nobody likes to see anyone crying. But when you can stay there and when you can support your child just being there, something, I honestly can say something magical happens. And as I said before as well, with this is the same as when you go mad. It takes practice, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you have to be kind with yourself and accept that when the times come when you cannot support your child, you have to support yourself and remove yourself from there, because you are not going to be helpful if you just say, "Oh, it's nothing." It's just the message of, "I don't hear you. I don't want to hear you crying." And it takes a long time and a lot of therapy to have to learn, having to learn how to let that cry out. And I also speak from experience. I am a very positive person, and I tend not to cry even for a long time when I cry. But you have to let it out, let out your feelings. And then from the crying bit, which I supported her and I could stay present, and I can speak more about how to stay present. I will write a post on that on my blog. But then, because I could stay there, at some point that became as well a moment of giggles, because after a little while, when she noticed that I was there and I was just dealing with my feelings about her feelings, because when you hear somebody crying, something happens in you, and then you can tend to your feelings. So you just feel your feelings, and then you can be with the person and you connect. And at some point we started having giggles, and making the moment from being painful to being a little bit comical. And somehow it turned into this moment of, "Oh, so what should we do with your finger?" And if it's very painful, maybe we should just cut it off, and then we forget about it. And little things that could be told. And at the beginning, when I said that the first time, she went like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Isn't that what they tell you at school? Like, let's chop it off." And then she started laughing, and then she started saying something else that they said at school. And then it became giggly, and it took a while. It's not it's not something that happens quickly. That's why we went to sleep late, because it took a while. But once that she got into that playful state, which is another way in which we get rid of stress, then we were ready to go for the rest of the routine at bedtime. And then let's go and brush our teeth. And then I went to brush my teeth, and then I put some clothes. I was hanging some clothes, and she was following me. She was following me everywhere. And at some point, I went just like, "Stop following me." And I was just a little bit funny with her. But then she realized that she was a bit clingy. And she even mentioned it in the morning again. She said, "Oh, mommy, I think I was a little bit too stuck to you last night, wasn't I?" And I just noticed that she just needed connection. That's all. So that's how we went to sleep. And so the mindful tip for today is to stay with the feelings when something goes wrong, and not judging what their experience is of pain or drama. Sometimes it's drama. With my son, it tends to be a bit more dramatic as well. And you just let go, and let them be, and just be yourself with your feelings. And also, the other tip is, if you don't know about the morning pledge, or you want to have a look at how my morning pledge looks, this is by children's, and I have my own one on the other side, which is on my it's on my Instagram account. So you can just click the links that you can find here. So that's for now. And if you want any more tips, if you find this useful, please, you can just give me a like, and you can subscribe to my channel if you want to keep having more of these tips, and pass it on to somebody else if this is not helpful for you, but you think that it could be helpful for somebody else. So that's it for today, and I hope you Have a rest and a peaceful night.